Yep, grade 11s, we are continuing with the topic of functions where we are preparing for our exam. Question 5, we are looking at what we call exponential function. So we are dealing with expo function. How do we know that the function is exponential? Because the variable x is the exponent. When you see, if I give you a function where x is the exponent, you know that you are dealing with exponential function. For example, if I say f of x equals to 2 to the exponent x, so the guy is the exponent. The variable x is the exponent. So this f of x is the exponential function. Now the first question say, write down the equation of the asymptote of g. Where is our function g of x? This is our function g of x. So they want us to write down the equation of the asymptote of g. Exponential function has got only one asymptote, and that is a horizontal asymptote. Please write this one down. The expo function, let me call it g of x. The expo function g of x has got only the horizontal asymptote. The horizontal asymptote. Remember that the horizontal asymptote, we are referring to the y asymptote. So if we go to this function, g of x equals to 1 over 2 to the exponent x minus 4, where is our horizontal asymptote there? This negative 4, this number at the end is our horizontal asymptote. So we can now be able to answer 5.1.1 where they say write down the equation of the asymptote of g. So what is the equation of the asymptote? Y equals to negative 4. Remember, exponential function has got only the y asymptote. So the number at the end there is the y asymptote. If I give you something like this, if I say f of x equals to 2 to the exponent x plus 8, what will be the equation of the asymptote? This guy at the end, 8, is going to be our asymptote. Therefore, y equals to 8 is the equation of the asymptote. So we must be able to find the asymptote of the exponential function. Very easy. Let's go to 5.1.2. They say write down the range of g. Okay. So by looking at this question 5, there is nowhere where they say sketch the graph. So I want to explain this 5.1.2 very well, where they say write down the range of g. But for you to understand, how do we find the range of the exponential function? You have to understand how do we sketch the exponential function. So I'm going to sketch this exponential function for you so that you can see easily the range of the function. And after all, sketching the exponential graph is part of your syllabus. So you have to know how to sketch the graph. So I'm going to insert my question here. Before we reach to 5.1.2, I'm going to put the question here and say sketch g of x. So this is what I want us to do. I want us to sketch the graph. So how do we sketch the graph of g of x? Remember, guys, when you are sketching the graph, it's important to know the intercept. So I'm going to say, what is the x-intercept of g? What is the x intercept of g of x. In order for me to sketch g of x, I need to know its x-intercept. You still remember how do we find x-intercept? Grade 11s. To find the x-intercept, you let your y to be 0. So my y in this case is g of x. I'm going to let it to be 0. So I'm going to come to this function that says g of x equals to 1 over 2 to the exponent x minus 4. I want to find the x-intercept, so I'm letting this g of x to be 0 equals to, guys, you need to know that 1 over 2 can be written as 2 to the exponent negative 1. So this 1 over 2 is 2 to the exponent negative 1. So I'm saying 0 equals to 2 to the exponent negative x, which is negative 1 times x. So what do I do from here? I have to take negative 4 to the left-hand side. So this negative 4 guy has to come to this side. So you say 4 equals to 2 to the exponent negative x. You are dealing with exponential equation. When you are dealing with exponential equation, try by all means to have the same base. So the base on the right-hand side is 2. The base here is 2. So even on this left side, this 4, you want to write it as a base of 2. 4 is 2 to the exponent 2. Now it's easy to solve for x. Because the base is the same, we focus on the exponent. We say 2 equals to negative x. Therefore, if we multiply both sides by negative 1, x is going to be negative 2. So negative 2 is my x-intercept. X-intercept is negative 2. Let me erase here. Now, another thing that I must have in order for me to sketch the graph, I need to look for the y-intercept. So I'm now going for the y-intercept. Y-intercept of g of x. I need the y-intercept of a function g of x because I want to sketch the graph. So what is the y-intercept? Remember, if you are looking for the y-intercept, you have to let x be 0. So you go to the function g of x equals to 1 over 2 to the exponent x minus 4. You let x to be 0. So I will say g into 0 equals to 1 over 2 to the exponent 0 minus 4. G into 0 equals to 1 over 2 to the exponent 0, it's 1. Any number to the exponent 0, it's 1. 1 minus 4. G into 0 is equals to negative 3. So the y-intercept is negative 3. The y-intercept is negative 3. Okay, so I have the x-intercept, I have the y-intercept. I think I will be able to sketch the graph now. So let me sketch the graph. I have the y-axis I have the x-axis. Okay, what is my x-intercept? Is -2. So I will put a dot where x is -2, a point where x is -2. Don't forget that your x-intercept is -2. So on the -2 of the x-axis, you put a dot there. The y-intercept is -3, -1, -2, -3. You also put a point on -3. This is your y-intercept. Now, when you are sketching this exponential graph, remember that it has got the horizontal asymptote. I told you that exponential function has got only the horizontal asymptote, which is the y asymptote. Do you still remember how do we find that y asymptote? I set the number at the end. I said this number at the end, this -4, is your y asymptote, is your horizontal asymptote. -4. Now I think you are ready to sketch the graph because you have the x-intercept, you have the y-intercept, and you also have the horizontal asymptote. Now you simply connect your point. You say, I will approach the asymptote line. You never touch that asymptote line. This is your chi of x. So just in case if they ask you how to sketch the exponential function, you know how to sketch it. You must have the x-intercept. You must have the y-intercept. You must also show the horizontal asymptote because the exponential function has the horizontal asymptote. Now we can be able to answer 5.1.2, where they say, write down the range of G. What is the range of G? I want you to look at my graph. We notice that the graph of G is always above -4. It's always above where the value of Y is -4. It will never touch that -4 line. So you say, therefore, Y, this is the range now. You say Y can be any real number with the property that Y should always be above -4. So this is the range of the exponential function. Y is the element of a real number with the property that Y is always above -4. Okay. Now let's answer 5.1.3 that say determine the coordinates of the x-intercept of G. The coordinates of the x-intercept of G. I already taught you how to find the x-intercept of a function. And if you look at the graph, the x-intercept is this -2. Because I said the x-intercept actually is where the graph cuts the x-axis. So the graph cuts the x-axis at -2. This is our x-intercept. And what does the examiner want? He's looking for the coordinates of the x-intercept of G. So what is the coordinates of the x-intercept? We know that the x-intercept is -2, but you let your y to be 0. So this is the coordinates of the x-intercept. Remember, in maths, when we are looking for the coordinates, you must give us the x coordinate and you must also give us the y coordinate. So you have the x coordinate and the y coordinate. Those are the coordinates of the x-intercept of G. If they want the coordinates of the y-intercept, I'm including my question now here. If they say the coordinates of y-intercept, if they want the coordinates of the y-intercept, this is what you do. You look for the y-intercept. The y-intercept is negative 3, meaning that the y value is negative 3, but the x value there is 0. So these are the coordinates of the y-intercept. The x guy is 0, but the y guy is negative 3. Now, the last question of 5.1.4, they say, write down the values of x, whereby g of x is less than 0. They love this question. Give us the values of x, where g of x is less than 0. So let us go and look at our graph g of x. Actually, guys, now I see it's very, very important to have a sketch of a graph. Some questions, when you answer them, you will need the graph so that you understand what is happening. They are looking where g of x is less than 0. And I will say g of x is less than 0 when it is below the x-axis. When it is below the x-axis. So you go and look at the portion of the graph which is below the x-axis. So this part of a graph is below the x-axis. And the other part of the graph, it's above the x-axis. So I will just draw a line here for your understanding at -2 here. We have -2 here. So you can see that on the right side of this line of -2, this side, the graph is always below the x-axis. So you say when x is greater than -2, when x is greater than -2, g of x, it's always below the x-axis. This was the question of Limpopo looking at exponential function. So let us check what they have done in KZN. We are looking at different questions, guys, so that you can be prepared. I want to look for the exponential function from KZN. Is it there? This is quadratic. Okay, let's go. Okay, this is the exponential function. Ah, this is the same. Limpopo and KZN, I think they gave us the same thing. Yes. Wow. We have to consult gauteng. We have to check the gauteng. I'm looking for the exponential function. This is quadratic. This is more like the same thing. I think there was something interesting about the exponential function. This is Eastern Cape. Let's check. Oh, but it's paper 2. There was something interesting. Let me check the exponential function. Let me check my documents. I want to check mathematics paper 1. Okay, I know, guys, it says grade 12, but what I'm going to talk about, it's part of your syllabus. There is a big link between grade 11 and grade 12. There is an interesting question that they can bring to you regarding exponential function. I want you to be more prepared. So let us go. Yes, yes, yes. This is the exponential f of x. Let us observe this exponential function, f of x. They are saying f of x is equals to a to the exponent x minus 1. You know that this is the exponential function. How do you know? Because the variable x is the exponent, where a is the base. X is the exponent. Now, the first question says, calculate the value of A. I love this question. Calculate the value of A. So in order for us to find this value of A, we have to substitute this X and this Y, my f of X is my Y, by any point on the graph of f of X. And they gave us the point on F. They said this point B is a point on F. So I'm going to say this 2 is my X. This minus 5 over 9, it's my Y. It's my F of X. So I'm going to say F of X, it's minus 5 over 9 equals to A to the exponent X. X is 2. A to the exponent 2 minus 1. Now we have to solve for A. Let's take minus 1 to the left side. So we're going to have minus 5 over 9 plus 1. I advise you to press your calculator. I see, how much is it going to be? 9 minus 5? It's 4 over 9. So it's going to be 4 over 9 equals to A squared. Now what you do, you put the square root both sides. You're going to say the square root of 4 over 9. But you must say plus or minus. Every time you put the square root, it's compulsory to say plus or minus. Plus or minus equals to A. What have I done, guys? I have put the square root both sides. If you put the square root on the right-hand side, these two cancel the square root, so you are left with A. But this square root here, this side, will remain. So plus or minus, press this on your calculator, is 2 over 3 equals to A. So what is the value of A? A is actually 2 over 3. Because we are told that the value of A is greater than 0. So A, they are saying A is positive. So we leave out the negative. We are left with positive. So A is positive, 2 over 3. So this was a very, very, very important question that I wanted us to explore regarding the the exponential function. I wanted to show you how to find the unknown here. I think there is a similar question. Let me go and look what happened on June 2022. Where is June 2022? June 20 mathematics. I don't know. I have November. Maybe I did not save it on my document. There is something interesting again that I wanted to show you. Okay, it's fine, guys. Let me just do this. Let me do this. I've shown you how to. Okay, I think we should answer. Let's continue with 4.2 and 4.3. Still interesting and part of your syllabus. I wanted to check something, but do not worry. So we found A to be 2 over 3. It means our function f of x is now equals to 2 over 3 to the exponent x minus 1. I want to answer 4.3 first because they say sketch the graph of G. Most of the time, guys, for you to understand the range carefully, remember 4.2 want the range. But for you to understand the range carefully, you need to see the graph. So whenever you see the graph, you will be able to find, you'll be able to get the range so easy. So let us sketch the graph of f. So I said to you, when you sketch the graph, it's important to have the x-intercept. So we need to find the x-intercept. We also need to find the y-intercept. And we also need the horizontal asymptote. If we can have all this free, the horizontal asymptote. Remember, the horizontal asymptote, I'm referring to the y asymptote. This is the y asymptote. So the y asymptote, it is easily identified, guys, is this number at the end, this -1. The number at the end here, it is your horizontal asymptote, which is y equals to -1. This is your asymptote. Okay, so let me come here. I need to find the x-intercept. How do I find the x-intercept? Do not forget, you let your y to be 0. So your y is your f of x. So you say 0 equals to 2 over 3 to the exponent x minus 1. Now you are solving for x. You are going to take minus 1 to the left-hand side. It becomes positive. So you have 1 equals to 2 over 3 to the exponent x. And guys, I told you, how do we solve for exponential function? I mean, exponential equation? We must have the same base. So 1 can be written as 2 over 3 to the exponent 0 equals to 2 over 3 to the exponent x. So don't be confused, guys. This 2 over 3 to the exponent 0 is this one. Why am I doing this? I wanted the base to be the same. My base on the left is 2 over 3. My base on the right is 2 over 3. Then x equals to 0. So this is my x-intercept. My x-intercept is 0. So let me come and write it and say x equals to 0. Now I'm going to look for my y-intercept. For me to sketch the graph, I also need the y-intercept. How do you find the y-intercept? You let your x to be 0. You say f into, where there is x, you put 0, equals to, it is now 2 over 3 Where there is x, you put 0, -1. So f equals 0, you can press what is on the right side with your calculator. The y-intercept also, it is 0. The y-intercept also, it is 0. So now how does the graph look? Let's check. Let's check. I have the x-intercept, the y-intercept, and the horizontal asymptote. I should be able to sketch the graph. I'm going to show the y-axis. I'm going to show the x-axis. This is the x-axis. This is the y-axis. The graph has got the x-intercept of 0 and the y-intercept of 0. So it means it's passed here at the origin. This is, at this point, the x-intercept is 0. And exactly at that point, the y-intercept is 0. We also have to show the asymptote on our graph. Remember the asymptote, the horizontal asymptote, we are saying it's y equals to -1. So you say -1, you show the horizontal asymptote. Okay, now remember that one of the point on the graph of f, it is 2 and -5/9. So you can also maybe try to show this point because it's a point on f. A point, I will say 1, 2. When x is 2, y it's -5/9. -5/9 is -0 comma something. So I will just say 2 and -0 comma something, map it with 2. This is where -5/9 is. So I'm mapping -5/9 with 2. This is a point on the graph. So your graph goes like this. Approach will never touch. It approach the asymptote. Make sure that it does not touch the asymptote. So this is the graph of f of x. Now that was 4.3. Now you can easily answer 4.2. So they say, write down the range of f. Look, all the time, our graph is above -1. So you say, y can be any real number with the property that y is above -1. This is your range. Y can be any real number, but y should always be above -1. So this was your exponential function. All the best, guys. I won't go for 4.4 because some questions are specifically for grade 12. I just wanted this question. Remember, I took it from grade 12. So I just want to focus on the grade 11 stuff. All the best. I will see you next time. From me, Academic World by Mpatala TL. Bye-bye.